Hello, welcome back to part 2C. We spoke earlier about mitigation, then reducing privileges. Next is about implementing secure administrative host. So no more about the account. This time is about the host, workstation or servers that have been configured specifically for the purpose of the creating secure platform. Securing station where privileged account can perform administrative tasks in AD or domain controller, domain join system, and application running on domain join system. A secure administrator host can be any of the following: a dedicated workstation that is used for admin tasks, a member server that runs the RDP sessions or the host, a server that runs Hyper-V role provides a unique VMs. Principle for creating secure admin host. First, you should never admin trusted system that is secure server such as domain controller from less trusted host, like a workstation that is secure to same degree, basically using a secured machine to access the domain controller. You should not rely on a single authentication factor when performing privileged activities. Although most attacks in the current threat landscape, leveraging malware and malicious hacking, do not omit physical security when designing and implementing secure admin host. Account configuration. Consider implementing a smart card for privileged account and secure admin. Administrator host should be configured to require smart card login for the old account with GPO, MFA, and configure using admin host to permit login only to authorized account. Next is the physical security. Administrative task or host must be configured and protected the same degree as they manage. Physical security include controlling physical access to administrative host, maintain dedicated admin workstation is kept locked, and configure secure administrative jump host or server to access domain controller on any privilege, you know, uh, machine. Still with the implementing secure administrative host, operating system version and configuration. All the admin host, whether server or workstation, should run the newest OS in use in your org and benefit from new security features, full vendor support, additional functionality introduced in the OS. Deploying the OS first to administrative host allow you to alleviate it and familiarize yourself with the new feature settings and management mechanism. Can be leveraged in planning broader deployment of OS. Also allow you or allows most sophisticated users admin to become familiar with the system earlier. And then you go to Microsoft Security Compliance Manager, it is an integrated security configuration that give you a recommendation based on Microsoft baseline, and you can produce these baselines via GPO as well. Other method for securing the host using something like AppLocker, you can configure it via script tool or third-party application restriction to the software, basically preventing somebody from running script software, stuff like that, or application, or using a third party. An RDP restriction restrict which account and computer can be used to establish remote desktop connection to my system, and patch and configuration management Blocking internet access. Administrative hosts should not be permitted to access internet or nor should they be able to browse an organization intranet. Virtualization. Where possible, consider implementing virtual machines as an admin host. Next, sample approach to implement secured administrative host. Implement separate physical workstation. Implementing a secure physical workstation with virtualized productivity workstation. Implementing a single secure workstation with connection to separate productivity. Implement secure admin workstation and jump server. What about? Next is we're going to speak about securing domain controller against attack. That will be law number 3. If a bad guy has an unrestricted physical access to your computer, it is not your computer anymore. 10 immutable laws of security. So, what we do to reduce that? Again, against domain controller, physical security for domain controllers, data center domain controllers, physical data center domain controller, virtual. So what we do for physical domain controller should be installed in dedicated secure rack or cage that are separate from general server population. They should be configured with a trusted platform module or TPM chips, and all the volume in the domain controller server should be protected against attack with BitLocker drive encryption. What about virtual servers? Ensure that the virtual domain controller run on separate physical host than the virtual machine in the environment. Delegate admin for physical host on which domain controller reside and domain controller themselves to authorize admin access, separating the storage of the virtual domain controller to prevent storage admin from accessing the virtual machine's files. So what does that mean is additional level of basically validation authentication. Physical security for domain controller, branch location domain controller, physical and the branch side with virtual. Physical, where domain controller are not physically secure to degree that data center server are secured, they should be configured with TPM and BitLocker on all the volumes. If a domain controller cannot be stored in a locked room in a branch location, you should consider deploying read-only domain controller. A branch location with virtual domain. Run virtual domain controller in a branch office on separate physical host than the virtual machine in the site. Depending on the size of the branch office, the security of the physical host, you should consider deploying read-only domain controller. Next is remote location with limited space and security. If your infrastructure include location in which only a single physical server can be installed, a virtualization host should be installed in a remote location, BitLocker encryption should be configured, read-only domain controller should be enabled, and you should run a separate virtual machine on the host. And the last part of securing domain controller, use Microsoft Security Compliance Manager, use AppLocker, do RDP restriction, patch and configure management of the domain controller. You should consider patching domain controller and other critical infrastructure components separate from the machine and block internet access to domain controller. Internet Explorer or Microsoft Edge or whatever need to be controlled. You can all use combination for AppLocker, black hole proxy, and WAF to on the parameter to restrict. And last thing is you can use domain controller firewall configuration. That's all what I had for you for part 2C. Hopefully you've learned something useful and you can implement it in your environment. Goodbye for now, and the next part will be the monitorings.